So in order to catch a break and retest, the first thing we're going to go ahead and do, first step, start off on the monthly and draw and label lines at each resistance. Then do the same on the weekly and the monthly. Once again, we know that when market structure is being created, we know that market resistance turns into support. And this is the only way that market can actually continue. The market is a staircase. And we also know that market shorts from areas of resistance. Okay? So, keeping this in mind, let's go ahead and let's draw all of our levels. So first thing we're going to go ahead and do, start off on our monthly, go to our weekly and daily. Once again, we're going to draw lines at each resistance. And then from there, we're going to scale down on our smaller time frames. So let me start off on monthly time frame. Gotcha. Can you hear me a little bit better now? Here, let me do this. There we go. So yeah. So we're going to start off on our monthly time frame here. And we're going to go ahead and go through and mark each and every single one of our levels. So boom. So I'm going to start off here. I recommend control clicking before you do click on the lines as well, just so the levels can have the magnet tool placed and you'll have the exact wicks placed. So once, yeah, so you can start pretty much wherever you want because we don't know which way the market's going to go. So it's actually nice. So I'm going to go over it. So the reason why I have you do the top and the bottom is because we don't know which way market is going to go. Great question. And it's good to be prepared for either side. So yeah, so boom. So let's go and let's start off with here. So as we can see, we do have an area of resistance right here. Once again, the candlestick colors don't matter. The easiest way to find key levels is to use higher time frame resistances. And that's going to be the monthly, weekly, and the daily. That's the easiest way to find levels. Mark lines and label them at the tops of the wicks. Only on the monthly, weekly, and daily. And then we're going to scale down. Then scale down to your smaller time frames. Alright? So boom. So let's go ahead and let's label through the lines. So we're going to be just marking lines at these top of the wicks here. Okay? So that's what we're going to be paying attention to. So now that we've gone ahead and known that, let me go ahead and start off on my monthly time frame. I like to go to templates. You can go ahead and change the color as well here. Change the text color if you want. You can also click on templates, save, and then label them as well too. So I have MR here. MR for means monthly resistance. After I put the lines down, I like to go ahead and come up to the toolbar and lock them. This way I can drag the lines and they won't move. Okay? So once again, the candle color sticks don't matter. I want you to just look at current price and just start going crazy drawing wicks. So boom. So I just drew this one right there. Let me draw this one right here. Monthly resistance. Trading is work. Yes, it might take you some time, but you're going to get faster and faster at it each and every single time that you do it. Trading is work. So boom, let me go ahead and just do this one up here. So after the monthly, we're going to scale down to our weekly. After the weekly, we're going to go down to our daily. We're going to stop on the daily. Daily is going to be the lowest time frame we're going to go for zones. So there's that. Now let me go ahead and do this. Okay, and then from here. Well, I mean, I could, but that's a lot of points, honestly. But yeah. So it really just depends, honestly, but because a lot of the times you're just going to catch your piece of the trade. So you can really just do as much as you want. But yeah. So boom, now I'm going to go ahead and just keep reading through. Weekly. Weekly. Okay. Weekly resistance, and this really helps too, because when you do place your trades, you're going to already have your stop losses and stuff set. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to find your stop loss and the entries after we do have our levels marked. So right now I'm just, yep, yeah, yeah. So pretty much, well, until new price gets created or starts creating new structure. But yeah, for a lot of the times, you're not going to have to do them again for a good chunk. They're going to be very reactive. Yep. So yeah, and that's why we go all the way up and all the way down, just so we can be prepared for the future. And then after we do mark all these levels, we're going to scale down and find a setup here. So I'll say I'll do about this much. I'm going to go to my daily, and then I'll stop. Like to have as much information as possible. Okay, now my daily. Should I go over? Actually, that's fine. Daily. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. Daily is going to be a bit more tricky. We do want to make sure that we're not missing any wicks. So we're making sure that we're reading from left to right. Make sure that we're not missing anything. More information, the better. Left to right. And I'm just going to do stuff from below this monthly resistance up here at 419.31 and go below. Okay. More information, the better. And then it's going to make a lot more sense when we do scale down to our smaller time frames. It's going to be a lot easier for it to be like, oh, okay, we're going to take this trade. So that's how we're going to know what levels we're going to go ahead and take. But when we do have all this information there, it's going to be a lot easier to find our stop loss, take profits, etc. Once again, once you scale down to the smaller time frames, things will be a lot cleaner and make a lot more sense for sure. Inshallah. Boom. And it does take time. Trading is work, but once you do it, you won't have to do it again for a while. And this also does help too, because you're going to have a lot of take profits. You're going to be able to scale out. So like a lot what I've been doing, I've been playing with like 5 contracts and stuff like that recently, and just scaling out each TP, and that's been very powerful. And we're going to go over everything once we do mark out the setup. But once again, we're going to keep going through our levels. So once again, guys, go from your monthly, mark out resistances, label them, go to your weekly, mark out resistances, label them, then go to your daily, mark out resistances, and label them. Okay. Go here. Then we're going to scale down our smaller time frame and then be able to analyze some setups right after we're done with this here. So make sure that you guys aren't missing for any wicks. Once again, the wicks that we're looking for are going to be the top of these candles that look like this. The top of the wicks, the top of the daily, weekly, and monthly candlesticks. That is what we're drawing lines on. And we're going to label them. Same thing, one right here. Draw a line, control click, label. Once we scale down to our smaller time frame, stuff is going to make a lot more sense. Make sure that you're not missing any wicks. More information, the better. And make sure that you are locking them too, just so you don't move anything and accidentally lose money when you don't have to. Yep. Yep. right here, right here, right here, right here, now right here, boom, boom, and some charts do have more than others. Well, honestly, the charts with the more is kind of better because that means that there's more structure. And a lot of the times, like I said, at all-time highs, you're going to have to use support, which can sometimes be the case on like SPY and NQ and stuff like that, which is why I think stocks are just a lot easier. Okay, well, all right, current price is down here, but so that's all that. So we'll just do some more near current price. And a lot of the times, that is what's going to be the case. You just can go near current price, start doing all your lines, but the more information you have, the better. Especially if you do only trade one chart, you won't have to do it again for a long time. I mean, yeah, these to the right here are probably these are going to be the best with the highest volume. The highest volume stocks are SPY, QQQ, Nvidia. You can also Google too, like the highest volume options contracts, and it'll show you. But yeah, Nvidia, Microsoft, SPY, you know, just the normal stuff like that. So if you are running into issues trading smaller caps and the smaller stocks, then you can't just play stuff like Nvidia and just stuff like that. Okay. Now let me go ahead and put one here. It does take time. Once the levels are done, stuff is going to make sense. Okay, so we'll say we'll go about this far. All right, so now I'm going to go down to my 5 minute or something like that, and we're going to be able to analyze stuff cleanly. Okay, now this is when stuff gets juicy here. So now we're going to go ahead and see the chart cleanly. We're going to go ahead and be able to see clean reactions here. Let's see what we see some shorting from this area here. See how this area is shorted, and then long from here to certain reactions and stuff like that. Now, there's not much resistance in here. There's only support. I want to mark this support then. So in this instance, when there's no resistances, this is in the instance right here where we're going to have to mark out support because there isn't any much resistances. Yeah, and then I'm going to scale down. And then we're going to go ahead and check something. Boom. As we can go ahead and see, what do we see here? One entry. One entry. Another one. Break and retest. Another one. Break and retest. Another one. Break and retest. Another one. So many entries to the downside here. Break and retest in the morning. Down, wake up, entry right here. I want you guys to study this very, very closely here. After you draw out your levels, things become ridiculously easy. Okay, After you've drawn out your levels, you scale down to your smaller time frame. You can go to your 15-minute or something like that and plot out your trade. So here, now I can go ahead and analyze this. This is a trade or something like that you'd be able to take on Microsoft. So we see right here to the left, we see how price is longing from this resistance right here, right? This is why we just mark out the resistance, because resistance turns into, exactly, resistance turns into support, and support can turn into resistance if there's not enough resistance structure. And we can go ahead and see up here that support did turn into resistance right here at the daily support. Same thing with right here. So we know that resistance can turn into support and support can turn into resistance. So as we can go ahead and see, you see how price decides to try to get bullish from here, correct? You see how price is doing it again? Please pay very close attention to this part right here. You never want to catch falling knives. If price is falling, don't try to long. Please, don't try to long. If price is dumping, don't try to long. If price is going straight up, don't try to short. Don't do that. Here's the proper way to trade. You see over here how support was created, right? You see how price is trying to create support here, right? Okay, let's go ahead and let's analyze. What did price do at this daily resistance level right here? It came down, it broke past it, and then it wicked back up, right? And came back down, correct? Now that's all we're going to do is wait for the same thing. Now you see how price decided to get bullish over here a little bit. So price literally did that there. If I get on my 1 minute, let's see if there's an entry here. Okay, cool. Even if you were to go ahead and see this right here, this area, we go to my 15-minute. See how price decides to get bullish from the area right here? And then guess what? This area right here decided to go ahead and short this area right here. See how it all correlates, correct? Break and retest. So, if price is falling, don't try to long at the first wick at a resistance. The chances of you catching the ultimate low is slim. Instead, always trade with the trend. If market is dumping, wait for support. I don't want you to get confused here, but wait for a area of resistance that already validated as support to be broken. Okay? So, but we're still labeling just resistances. But remember, resistance turns into... Okay, so if you see it on the smaller time frame, it'll be support. But when you see it labeled, I want to show you this for example, just so we don't get confused here. You see how we're longing here, right? But this is still a resistance, right? Because resistance turns into... Okay, so this is what I mean. If price is falling, if market is dumping, wait for support to... What's this right here? Is this an area of support or resistance right here? Support, exactly. So right here, we're going to go ahead and wait for, if market's dumping, catch a puts trade, catch a push / short trade, wait for support on the smaller time frames to be broken, then catch break and retest. So, in this instance here, right? So we see how price decides to go ahead and long from this area, right? We don't know if price is going to get bullish here. I probably wouldn't long until maybe up here. So this is how you long and this is how you short. Okay? This is not what people think. But it's not like breakouts either. Okay, cool. So let's check this out. So, you see how price decided to create this area of resistance right here, correct? So let's go ahead and let's label this. Resistance is going to be right here. And then we see right here how price decided to create these areas of support right here, correct? Okay. Support. Okay. I'm going to show you how to catch trades on both sides. Okay? So now you see the range right here, right? The range is between here and here. Okay? All right, let's just say hypothetically this is the range right now. This is the last place market longed, and this is kind of the best place market shorted. See how clean it is? This is why I love options. So boom, check it out. So after this, let's go ahead and let's realize something here. So this is how I prepare a trade for both sides. So if I'm trying to short, we'll go over the downside first. If you're trying to short, wait for smaller time frame support to be broken. Then wait for price to wick back up at the breakout entry and get in. Set your stop loss at a resistance. Set your stop loss at a daily candle above your entry. Okay. So this is going to be for the downside. So if you're trying to short, right? So after we've marked out all of our levels, we already marked out all of our levels on the monthly, weekly, and the daily. So now I'm on my smaller time frames here. After this, I see that market, because we know that market decides to bounce at areas of resistance. So knowing that, we see that this support was created over here on the smaller time frames. So boom, if I'm going to short, I'm going to wait for market to break the area of support. Okay? I'm going to wait for market to break the area of support. Then I'm going to wait for market to pull back up to the entry. And if market holds it, I'm going to take it back down. Okay? And then my stop loss is going to go ahead and be a daily candle above my entry. So let's say my entry was this yellow line, right? Entry yellow line, right? I'm waiting for a break of this down, waiting for it to pull back up and go back down, right? Now let's go ahead and let's find my stop loss here. So after this, I'm going to go ahead and find my stop loss like this. So after I find my entry, I like to go ahead and you always are going to find your stop loss on the daily. So my entry is this yellow line here. So now I'm either going to look for an area of resistance or support to make my stop loss. Okay, stop loss. I kind of like this stop loss maybe up here. Maybe this one up here. And then I'm going to scale down to my smaller time frames. I'll make it red. Scale down to my smaller time frame, just see what it looks like. So I'm waiting for this to be broken. And then I'm waiting for market to come down here. So I'm probably going to make my stop loss. So I see market decide to bounce from this area of support right here, right? So the fact that, and support can turn into, exactly. So I know if market decides to go past this red line, pretty much, I lost. So I'll probably set my stop loss a little above this. And then, yeah. So, and then here, short position tool, stop loss up here, take profit down here. And there we go. And this is how I would go ahead and find my downside trade. And you can maybe put a target down here as well. So I'm waiting for market to verify itself. My apologies. So I'm waiting for market to verify itself. So I'm waiting for support to be broken. Then I'm waiting for market to pull back up and take it back down. Just like it did right here. So market decided to break out below it, pulled back up, and then took it back down. Market decided to break below it, pull back up, and took it back down. Okay? So market just kept things very simple, very clean. And I'm going to go ahead and show you an upside example. Let me know if you have any questions as well. Okay. Yep. And a lot of the times the support will already be there because after you mark your resistances on the daily, weekly, and the monthly, a lot of the times because resistance turns into support, the lower time frame support should be created. So then from there, let's go ahead and let's talk about upside trade. So we don't know if market's going to go up or down. We don't really care because we're prepared on both sides. Now, same thing for upside trades. We do not try and long when market is dumping, and we do not try and short when market is rallying. Okay? We wait for market to create structure. We wait for market to create structure. So if I'm going to short, I'm waiting for an area of support to be broken, waiting for price to get below it, pull back up to it, hold it, and then take it back down. If I'm going to long, I'm going to wait for an area of resistance to be broken. I'm going to wait for price to get above it, pull down, and take it back up. Okay? So if I'm going to short, I'm waiting for an area of support on the smaller time frames to be broken. If I'm looking for a long / call trade, wait for an area of resistance to be broken and for resistance to turn into support. Set your stop loss at a daily support or resistance below your entry. Okay, so let's say our entry was right here, right? Let's say this area of resistance got broken, right? So we don't enter in here at the breakout because that's flawed. Price could easily break out one tick and then wick back. What we're going to do is wait for price to get above it, pull back down, and then take it back up. So boom. So let's talk about this here. So I'm going to wait for resistance to turn into support. Now let's talk about finding the stop loss. So now let me go ahead and make this line yellow here. This is going to be my entry line. And in order to find my stop loss, I'm going to go ahead and go to my daily here. So I'm going to get on my daily, and I'm going to look for a candle here that makes sense. So a candle that makes sense. Yep, the stop loss is going to be on the daily. So I do see this daily candle here as well. So the stop loss for me is probably going to be this daily resistance underneath here. So you see how that daily resistance created this support right here? So I would probably go ahead and do something like this. Stop loss here. Take profit up here. And catching a 1 to 3. Because I know if price breaks the support, I'll chunk down. Alright. So when I'm looking for a long trade, I'm waiting for an area of resistance to be broken. I'm waiting for price to get above it, come back down, and then go back up. When I'm looking for a short trade, I'm waiting for price to get below an area of support, come back up, and then take it back down. And then the higher you go, the more levels you're going to go ahead and have prepared. See, I do have the levels all the way up here as well. All the daily resistances and stuff like that. And you should be able to go down to your smaller time frames and just study reactions whenever market does come. So as you guys can see, here's all the reactions here. Weekly shorts, weekly shorts, weekly shorts. And there's going to be just a lot of trades. You can win pretty much every day. I only lost 4 trades this month. Every loss I took was my fault. Either I didn't wait for news, or one trade I took a falling knife. And yeah, otherwise I won every single trade this month. So you can definitely win every trade. And definitely a lot of people definitely do that. Pretty much trade every day. Yeah. Yeah. 5. Yeah. So, and then we still have Monday, so I'll see about that. But one today, that was easy. But I post a recap after this. Have a lot of videos to post. My apologies too. I just got my setup back in commission. So yeah. But yeah, so when we're shorting, we're just waiting for smaller time frame supports to be broken. You can easily find that by just marking the monthly, weekly, and daily resistances. Then we're going to go ahead and go to our upside, where we're just waiting for resistances to be broken. And you might have to use support in order to find some resistances if there's not enough resistance structure. And that's it. So go to your smaller time frame. Your smaller time frames, we'll tell you your answers. You're going to go ahead and enter, do all of your entries on the 1 minute, 5 minute, and just make sure your smaller time frames line up with what you see on the hires. As we can see, this is the daily resistance, and I see price longing here. That's valid. So, and price is doing it again. So I'm not going to long the falling knife because I don't know if price is going to swoop all the way up here, right? I don't care. Why would I do that when price could easily break this and break and retest down? So why would I catch the ultimate when I could literally wait for this resistance to be broken, turn resistance, because resistance turns into exactly. So I could just wait for resistance to turn into support and get in there and never lose, pretty much, because market has to continue up. Exactly. Yep. Yep. So wait for it to break above it, because the support turned into resistance. So wait for this to break above it, and then turn resistance into exactly, and support can turn into exactly. You're a pro. And boom, and I'll take it back up to the next daily support up here, and that's a really good point. A lot of money on Microsoft. I'm really ready to start turning up. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And you're gonna get a lot better about that. If you guys are looking for a cryptocurrency broker where you guys can trade crypto futures, altcoins, and meme coins, I recommend you guys head over to bitunix.com. You guys can either buy crypto straight up and buy your favorite coins using your card, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, XRP, etc. You guys also have the ability to trade futures as well, where you guys can either long or short cryptos such as Bitcoin, or even trade altcoins and meme coins such as Gala USDT. So you guys have a huge variety of what you guys want to trade, and the fees are pretty low as well. On bitunix.com, they also do give you guys a welcome bonus as well, where you guys can complete some very easy steps and get some free capital which you guys can trade with. There's also tons of trading competitions that go on that you guys can earn some capital to trade from too, and you can compete against your buddies. So if you guys are looking for a new crypto broker with low fees, fast transactions, and fast withdrawals, I'd head over to bitunix.com. Link in description below. Peace.